Welcome to Born for the Trade, a home service podcast. I'm your host, Mandy Pala, sitting virtually next to Shreya.
Hi, everybody.
Today, we are so excited to hear from Chuck and Dana, the unique brother and sister co-founders of the Opus and Golds Group. Chuck took his business from his garage to 11 million. Then, when Dana came on board in 2020, together they grew the company to 20 million in under 4 years, which resulted in a double-digit multiple sale in 2023. Let's dive into the story of their success. Welcome, Dana and Chuck, to our show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Join us as we dive deep into the world of home service entrepreneurship, interacting with industry leaders, coaches, and entrepreneurs about their experiences, challenges, and victories. Through their inspiring stories, we hope to equip our listeners with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed in the competitive home service industry. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, tune in to Born for the Trades podcast for invaluable insight and real-world inspiration. Welcome, guys. And we were having a conversation before because I wanted to mention something, a topic that's been brought up a lot lately. We have a sponsor, Elite Call, and the most common question I get from clients that I have are about outbounding and how to take advantage of the clients that we've already captured and nurture those. And how the most quality leads are usually the most neglected at home service companies, right? And finding a process in a way to take advantage of that. And with Elite Call, they convert non-member customers into quality appointments to fill up the dispatch board, boost the membership, and then integrate that directly into the CRM system. But I feel like, whatever I say doesn't matter as much as the people that have experienced it. And I've kind of found out that Chuck and Dana actually use Elite Call. So I was hoping, to help out the listeners that have a problem like this. What has your experience with Elite Call been like?
Yeah. First of all, if you're not doing outbound, it's a must, right? You're gonna cap off at some point, and then outbound's gonna get you past that cap. And outbound is a lot different than your call center, right? We experienced this when we were integrating outbound into it, and we started about 4 years. So we had an outbound department for about 4 years. The first year, it didn't stick right away. Towards the end, though, we were capturing about 240,000 a month in outbound sales.
Wow.
What I love about Elite Call, right, is because it's not just 1, 2, 3, let's start an outbound department. Your CSRs are not outbounders, okay? So remember that. And it's the certain person, right? And what I love about Elite Call is, even though I had 5 dedicated outbounders, producing 240,000 in outbound sales per month, Elite Call could come in and they could take the calls that those outbounders did not want to capture, right? Which are the people that haven't used you or haven't called you in 12 to 18 months, non-membership. Yeah. Anyone can call a membership client and say, hey, it's time for your tune-up. These calls are very, very specific on what they do, and they have a guarantee, right? Some of our clients are actually currently using Elite Call, and they're having major success. One client had 30 booked appointments in the first day from Elite Call. The other client had about 24, and most of them were for systems. These were not tune-ups. These were for actual problems with their system. So I love Elite Call. I think everybody should at least have a conversation with them. There are times that it's not, during the busy times, it may not be a fit, right? But there are times where you can absolutely utilize this into your system, whether you're doing outbound now or not. Because like I said, the outbounders are the lists that they outbound to are the lists that no one wants to touch.
Right. Yeah. And let the professionals handle it. I love that you guys have that unique experience of already being great at outbounding and still using extra support like that to just take it all the way home. And I think of that as great service. And that says a lot about actually what we're going to talk about today, which is how you guys have done what you've done that's a little sample of that already, is just taking it all the way to the finish line and not letting anything be lost. Seems to be maybe a subject that we'll talk about that equated to some of the success that you've had. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about, what has inspired the growth of the company, and a very unique brother-sister duo, which I haven't seen much of. And I'm interested to dive into that relationship and how that all works there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Get into
amazing.
it.
And yeah, I would say, like, before diving into your story, maybe we can start with that. Would love to hear, like, a story from both of you, Dana and Chuck. Like, how did you turn a garage startup into multi-million-dollar success with all hours, plumbing, heating, and cooling? Just like your story for the listeners. Just like, let's start with your story. I think that will be great.
Yeah. You want me to go first, Dana? Or you want
Yeah,
to go?
go ahead. It's a natural to have you start.
I think
Yeah.
I think Dana I think Dana should start first. Chuck?
She'll fill in the blank.
Perspective of Dana.
Is how it
Yeah.
goes. Yeah. So, so brief. I'll make it as short as possible. I can talk for a long time, so I'll give you the history behind it. I started in plumbing myself 25 years ago in Bergen County, New Jersey. I'm a plumber by trade. Moved to Salt Lake City in 2008. Worked for a company for a few years. Was about to have my first daughter. And decided, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I'll have more time, right? Like the every entrepreneur thinks they're going to have all this free time when they start their own business. Well,
Right.
so 2011, started all hours from my garage, just me. Found a helper in 3 months afterwards. One van just running out of my garage, and it quickly morphed. Like, the first thing that I did was started to dabble into digital marketing. That was kind of, I didn't know anybody from Salt Lake, right? Like, I'd only been there for 2 years. So how do I get my name out? New Jersey was no problem. Everybody knew me as Chuck the plumber, and probably because they couldn't say my last name. But yeah, so I didn't know anybody here. So I immediately started dabbling in digital marketing and putting my efforts there. And I kind of ran it for the first 9 years just that way. I was the plumber turned businessman, right? And I had some success. It was a lot of muscle. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of grind. It was a lot of hours. I mean, I can remember those 9 years so well because I put in a lot of hard work, right? And then in year 10, I decided to bring Dana on and get smart, right? I said, we went to a training. We were let me back up just a little bit. So 2020, we acquired a fireplace company, and we were adding fireplace services in there. And Dana had a retail background, so me and her were discussing late 2019, beginning of 2020, bringing her on for that retail background. Well, then COVID hit.
Yeah.
It opened my eyes, right? And I'll never forget, me and Dana, she hired on February of 2020. And then we all know what happened when the shutdown was, right? So I'll never forget being on the phone with her and coming up with a strategic plan of what we were going to do. It was a Thursday evening, and we immediately had, like, who we were laying off, what services we were going to discontinue, what we needed to keep in place, what we didn't need. And it was like, all of a sudden, this businessman came out of me, right? Like, I was backed against the corner. Everybody knows pre-COVID, like, everything was up and up. The sky's the limit, nothing untouchable, nothing could touch me. And then all of a sudden, I'm backed into a corner. So I remember that day and that phone call specifically. I also remember saying, we need to take and triple down on marketing. So we looked at all of our marketing expense, and we were like, that's the last thing we're going to pull, right? And the next thing we needed to do was we needed to find a coach, a mentor of some sort.
Right.
And that in the next, like, month, we were signed up for one, and we actually went to a different one. We went through that training course, and we signed up, to be fully invested in that mentorship.
I'm really interested in, Dana, what your background was in retail. Was it e-commerce or brick and mortar retail? What type of retail experience, and how did that translate to this, getting into this industry?
Yeah. So it was brick and mortar. I was actually at the corporate. I was a buyer for years. I also did visual merchandising. So anything you would see in a store, like from the standpoint of how they were marketed to the point, like catalogs were dropped to them, to the point of like, what does it look like when they pull up to the store? What banners are up to when they walk in? What do they smell? What do they see? The traffic flow, all of that. That's actually what my degree is in, which everyone, and I did a lot of fixture development and all of that, which everyone's like, what? How does that even associate with home services?
Right.
And to be honest, Chuck and I didn't even know. I just knew, and he knew that I could have an impact. And so I came in with no job description, and kind of the rest is history. But to correlate together, it's a lot of thinking through like, what is the client journey, from start to end? And that's a lot of the stuff I looked at, right on down to what is the employee journey, from before they start. So all of it correlates together. And then I did a lot of operations, a lot of large project management, which worked out great. From the standpoint of like, that's what you do as a GM. Like you're doing all of that. And then I came from the ad agency world where I was doing a lot of strategy with Fortune 50 companies, a lot of brand work, all of that. And, you don't even realize till you're out of that setting how much you learn. And it's just like, that's my jam. I love brand and everything associated with the brand. And so I was able to come in and take a look at Chuck's logo. We rebranded, like we were continuously rebranding in the minutia. Like most people probably wouldn't realize. In the beginning they did, but even evaluating, like, of course, the font and why we chose lowercase, like there's just so much analytical studies as to why we chose what we did from that front. And so when I came in, there really was we're just like, okay, let's see. So I just like meandered throughout every aspect of the business, trying to figure out things, because I knew the long-term goal was to be GM for me, but I had to learn it first before. I mean, we knew Chuck had younger kids and he wanted to be able to step back longer term. So I had to come in and learn it, get the respect from people. I mean, I'm totally different from everyone else. I would come in all my craziness, dressing how I wanted, because that was a stipulation. Chuck, I'm not wearing polos.
Yeah, I think all the girlies in the trades pretty much agree on that one.
And Chuck, you could not have done without your sister Dana. Like, you should be proud of that, right?
For sure. Yeah, no, 100%.
And it's making sense now as you guys describe both of your perspectives and how different you are, that why that created such growth in the company and such success, because Dana can really think outside of the box. When, I have more of the experience, I'm in the trades, and sometimes I can't see past a certain point, because when I'm a professional in HVAC or plumbing, because I'm a professional, I think I know what their experience is and what they want to need. And somebody else can have a different perspective on that. So can you guys tell us a little bit about, the journey of the growth since you guys have partnered, the challenges that you guys face, and some of the successes that you've seen?
Yeah, back to like I was saying, is before Dana came on and before I had a mentor, I was just like most business owners, right? Like they were a trade person turned owner, right? And it really opened my eyes when I went to this training, and I realized, yeah, I was doing $12 million a year in total sales and great success, right? I thought I knew it all, and realized I didn't know anything. So I had to take a huge step back, and I had to look at, okay, where do I want this to go? Do I just want to be the mom and pop shop forever? Or do I really want to scale this thing and be and I didn't even know my numbers. I didn't like, I did, business 101, like most trades guys do. The bank account goes up, you're doing good. Bank account starts coming down, you're doing bad. Let's tweak something, right? And we did that for a long time. And then my eyes were opened, and I started looking at things completely different. And I immersed myself as well as Dana and my team into this mentorship. I knew that to bring Dana up to speed, she needed to have like a deep dive, right? And I couldn't bring her up to speed fast enough myself, so I went all in with a mentor, right? And she was all in on that as well as the team. And whatever we uncovered with them and whatever we were learning with them, we just absolutely immersed it into the business. And the biggest part was, like, again, like most entrepreneurs, that I have what I like to call entrepreneur ADD, right? I'm
Right.
affected by the next shiny thing, the next great idea, all that fun stuff. And that was the missing piece right there, is I needed someone that could take my thoughts and my ideas and deliver them, right? And that's where Dana really came in, is she could kind of make sense of all the ideas and the thoughts, and she'd be like, okay, well, this one's important, this one we'll put off to the side, let's do this one first and drive it home, right? So I could have a conversation with her just like that Thursday night call when COVID happened, and we came up with a plan, and she went back in that Monday. Well, we both did that at that time, and we delivered on it. You know, we
Yeah.
started
Yeah,
moving.
you are basically visionary and she is implementer, which is like,
Correct.
very strong on operations. And that's a very, very solid combination.
Organizing your big vision that you have, and putting a plan in place for that is very much a great operations and visionary type of duo. Seems like you guys also have a lot of humility and an open mind in this partnership, is what I'm getting from you guys telling the story. Like, to admit that,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not a part of this trade and I need to earn respect, from these people and these guys is awesome to hear, because that is the only problem that some of the tradespeople have seen in corporate coming in. So were there any challenges with that? And can you talk about your experience with becoming accepted in this environment, Dana?
Sure, yeah. I think for me, I'm known as a driver. I've always been known as a driver, and that's like, you could say implementer, but I drive. I don't just implement, I drive. And I think as far as acceptance, like, I had to prove it was mostly the guys in the field, had to prove that I knew what I was going to do, that I knew what I was doing. And also, again, you have to be humble, and there was part of that. And they were open to receive what I had to teach as well. Like, I implemented all kinds of stuff across the board. Like, there right from the beginning, I'm like, there aren't even any job descriptions. Like Chuck said, there were no P&L reviews. So that was part of everything, like, that I was bringing to the table with that. And then, like, the guys, by the end, they were, for 2 years, I had them going up quarterly. They were doing SWOT analysis for the departments. They were presenting. They were looking at their numbers. I had them standing at a podium. Like, the first few times, they were so nervous. And by the end, they were just amazing. They were rocking it. Like, they were learning corporate stuff that they had no idea what it even was. They were making professional presentations. It was pretty cool to see the growth that they had. So all that to say, like, I had to be out there. Like, Chuck's the same way. Like, there were times that we were, out sweeping in the warehouse or taking out the trash, working throughout the weekend. We use Slack as a way to communicate for the whole team. And I would be on Saturday and Sunday meetings in the morning. There's 7 a.m.s, checking in with them, watching Slack all weekend, all of that. You're building that credibility by doing stuff like that.
That's good leadership
Yeah.
right there.
Yep.
That's amazing. I know you are working very closely with our client. We are doing marketing for them, Steve at Prompt Action. And I just want to ask, what were the challenges that you have seen in their overall operations, and now what kind of impact that you see after working with your OG group? You want to share so that audience can listen. This will be a perfect case study.
Yeah. So there's a little bit more to our story, and if we had more time, we could share more. But we're always open to jump on a call with anybody and share that.
Awesome.
In 2020, during COVID, we doubled in size with numbers as well as employees, but we lost money, right? That's one thing that I want to share. It wasn't always rainbows and unicorns. We lost almost $500,000 that year.
Wow.
And we had to turn a big ship really fast and turn it around to accomplish what we accomplished in 2023, which was selling and exiting successfully double-digit multiples as well as double-digit profit. So we went from 0 profit in 1 year to double-digit profits in 2 years with 130 employees in a business that that didn't have any systems and processes in place. So we learned very quickly how to do it, right?
Right.
And what to look for. So how we help people now is just like that. We go in and we identify the things that they know that's wrong, the things that they don't know that's wrong, that we help to uncover. We do that multiple different ways, either with an on-site, or we could do it over Zoom. We can deep dive into a business that way as well. There's a couple different ways. The on-site is absolutely preferred, but we can tailor it to just about any business. I can tell you this, and I've been on a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews recently, and someone asked me, what's the number one thing? It's numbers. People don't know their numbers, and they don't understand what a budget is, right?
Right.
And that's probably across the board 95%. We have one client out of 8 that knew their numbers, right? So that tells you a lot right there. And we go in, we help them uncover what it is they exactly need to know, whether it's pricing, whether it's building a budget, whether it's knowing if they're winning or losing, and not just watching that bank account go up or come down, and freaking out and making poor decisions based on the emotion of the bank accounts coming down. Let's do something, right? You're doing informed, very strategic moves when you start to work and plan off of a budget, right? And that's the other thing that a lot of business owners don't do, is they just get up, just like I did for 9 years, and they go and muscle through it. And it'll get you somewhere. It's not very fun. I'll tell you, those 9 years were not fun, right? The 4 years afterwards were a lot of fun, right? Because it was something different, and I knew where I was going. It wasn't just, hey, I'm going to get up today, I'm going to put out all these fires, I'm going to muscle through the day, might be home by 10 p.m.
White knuckling it.
Yep. So that's really, really what we do now.
Yeah. And to expand on what Chuck was saying, pretty much everyone that we've met with today, they are like, every owner is very similar, just like Chuck said, like they're spinning, trying to keep the day-to-day going. It's hard to go high level and think high level, like what would it take to push and to go to that next level? Like Chuck said, you have to have a budget. That's a mandate for any of our clients. They have to have a budget, because the budget is the framework to where everything starts. Where do you want to go? You have to have that vision, and then we just start breaking it down. Along with that, so it's that gap. Where do you want to go? 20 million. You're currently at 12 million. What's that gap in between, and how do you get there? You're also looking at your weaknesses. And then it's this putty that you have to start all putting together to form that plan for the year to get them where they want to go. And then we're just doing all those check-ins and helping and all that. It sounds super easy, but it's a huge process to get there.
It is a huge process.
It does not sound easy, by the way.
And Dana, I think we talked a lot about the other day on the branding. It's a buzz going on. Just like you gotta do rebranding, right? Without looking into details. And I think you're very detail oriented, and you have very good knowledge on branding. And it is not necessary to have any mascot, right? And I think the best example is one of the clients you working on the rebranding. Can you please share your thoughts on branding? Like, we really want to know your insights on branding.
Yeah, I would love to. Yes, there are lots of mascots in this world. Like when I came, I was like, what is happening? I was so glad Chuck did not have one. I mean, I think there's a time and a place. Unfortunately, I think 90% of the people think they have to have one, and that is not the case. Like we have a whole process that we do when we work with clients for rebranding. You know, we look at competitors' colors. Like there's a whole thing, like your color that you choose represents something, that your font that you choose represents something. Like for us, originally Chuck had like something super strong. I'm like, well, who's our target audience? Females. We want something soft, like you don't want like in your face screaming, because the females are the ones that are typically calling. And so you want it, not that you want it warm and fuzzy, but you kind of, you want that. Just depends on your area and all of that. So there's a whole analysis that goes on with that. But you want to set yourself apart. Like you don't want to be the same as everyone else. And so that's always what we're looking at. You also want to see, like the owner, we ask them to give like, what brands and logos like do you like? Because that tells us a lot about the owner and their aspiration, because the brand needs to fit them as well. I know that a lot of them, like Chuck, like, because in this industry, it's the blue, it's the red, it's, it's all those standard colors.
Standard colors, yeah.
Yes. And to have something totally different, there are really some beautiful brands out there that we've encountered as well, that will set you out from everyone else. And, I really love that. But I say that, but don't go like with Chuck, like when you're established and you have 30 trucks, I wouldn't recommend just like totally blowing it up and going a different direction, because then you're losing your brand. And so the key is to just do these nuances where you're still looking like your old brand, but you're updating it. Just like Starbucks, just like Target, like they all update, but it's such a nuance, but it's still
recognizable for what they built over that amount of time. Otherwise they're losing it. And I've seen that happen with companies completely rebranding to the point where it's unrecognizable and all their calls go down and they're wondering what's happening. And it's almost like they're back at square one again. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And it's a hot take about the mascot. So that's cool that you mentioned that. That's a hot take, because we're obsessed with mascots and think it's the only way. And what is the other way? Like, cause I'm super baseline in this. I'm still in the mindset of like, yep, there has to be a mascot. There's always a mascot.
I have to say, I'm pretty anti-mascot. I think I think it can be done. It can be done well. I'm thinking of one in particular that I absolutely love, but they don't look like everyone else. And that's why. And so you just have to have that fresh take on it. Like, what does it look like? And, listen, a good mascot is great when it ties in with the family story. And I forget, there are some out there that they're yes, that's the one. Yep. Like that is beautiful. Like that is really superb. And then I know they give giveaways and stuff like that. That makes sense.
I love that you mentioned, sorry, Shreya, like you mentioned that, when the rebranding is done, like, and everything went down, like phone calls are not like, coming. And I think we have seen with like a couple of rebranding, and then the owners, they blame at marketing. Marketing data looks good, but the brand search, they were getting a lot of phone calls like previously, but that has gone like down because of the rebrand. So it's not that always it's gonna go up. It can actually go reverse, right? So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's super important to have the right person, the right people doing your rebrand. Absolutely.
Yeah. And lastly, I really I want to talk to you guys for 3 hours, I swear, because you could tell that I could ask them about any subject and, they tell me something that would help me think outside the box. And so I see why you do what you do. You help people see things outside of the box and otherwise things that they would never realize. And that is the service. And it's such an important service for people. When it comes to family companies, because I know a lot of family companies and people working with their siblings or working with their wife or the people that are very close, there are a lot of problems that I notice that come up out of that. So what is your guys' experience with having a sibling relationship and working on such a high stress project? Have you guys just always gotten along super swimmingly? Can you
No.
tell me more
Go for it,
about
Chuck.
that?
That's an honest answer. No, I like it.
No, we have, and there was very clear lines, right? Like stay in your lane. Like even now, right? So the best way to describe it is, I was the owner of All Hours Plumbing. I brought Dana in, she was an employee. Now we're partners 50-50 in the OG group, and we had to have that discussion early on, like what's your lane? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? And we did that with All Hours, even though I started it. Dana treated it very much like her own company, sometimes better than I did, right? And I knew I was taken care of, like that trust was definitely there. But I was always verifying too, right? I asked very strategic questions of, what's going on here? Why is this happening? But we always knew, and we had the respect level of like, if I needed something done, I know it was going to get done. If it didn't get done, it was a simple conversation of why not, right? And realistically, it was removing all of our emotions, right? Like we weren't brother and sister at the office.
Yeah.
We were business partners at the office. When we got home, we were brother and sister, right? And I
Yeah.
think that is a hard one for me. I'm a very emotional person. I think Dana's better at it than me. But that was a hard one for me, and I had to bite my tongue at times, and I'm sure she did too. But we both had an understanding. Sometimes it was unspoken. A lot of times it was spoken, and having those expectations set up front versus just thinking, oh, this is the way it should be. And clearly defining your roles was a huge part of our success.
That makes so much sense, is clear communication, clarity on what are we doing, what are our individual goals, and what are our responsibilities. And then, of course, a foundation of respect behind all of that, separating the personal relationship with the work partnership. That makes so much sense. And a lot of it, probably the problems come from a lack of communication in what I've seen. And that seems to be like assuming something, never communicating it, and then finding out that what was assumed, it was never established in the first place, right? Which causes resentment and stuff like that.
Keeping control on your emotions, especially like, siblings, right? I think that's
Yeah.
huge.
And you have two type A's. We're both very strong personalities.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, I lived with he and his wife. They have an apartment lower, so we were together 24/7. It worked out great though.
Wow.
It really did. Like everyone was always like, it's a rare day that Chuck and even that, ultimately he owned the company. Like there were plenty of times I didn't agree, but then I would just say, listen, you decide. Like I don't have to agree, and so there were plenty of those times.
See, that's respect right there. It's just at the end of the day is the humility you guys have. Like in this whole time, that's really what I'm getting, is a lot of humility.
A lot of
And just the truth is, yes, he is the owner technically. And then just at the end of the day, handing that over on both sides is really commendable for you both. And I think that's a great lesson to anyone listening, for sure.
Yeah, great stories shared by you, and what you guys do. That's amazing. And for the listeners, if they want to reach out to you, I think Chuck, you mentioned before that you do discovery calls as well. When we were talking the other day, you want to share what's the best platform to reach out to you guys? Like to start with a discovery call, maybe then Zoom or on-site. Please share.
We'll link it below as well.
Yes, we'll link it.
Yeah. So we have a few different ways. The best way is probably opusgolds.com, our website, opusgolds.com. That our calendar's on there. You can book a free 1-hour strategy session with us. Bring us anything, right? And it doesn't have to be home services. If it's a different business, we can help with that too, right? So bring us anything that's challenging you right now, or exciting you too, right? Like if you want to break into another service that you're not currently offering and want to strategize with someone who's done that before, bring it to us, right? We do Tuesday night open Zoom calls. Right now it's Tuesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Zoom. You can follow our Facebook page and get the information there. The Facebook page is the OG Business Success Group. Right now we're doing it on Tuesday nights. We're kind of beta testing what is the best time to do that. So we might be switching that around. But if you follow the page, you'll get the info and you can jump on with us every Tuesday for 1 hour, right? And that's just deep diving into everything. The last one that we did is how to maximize efficiencies and profits during the busy season, right? So we want to help as many people as we can, because I know the struggles of doing it for the first 9 years without any help, right? And that's what we really love to do is help people. And that's why I put myself out there every week to just bring me the questions, bring me the challenges, bring me the opportunities, right? If I don't have the answer, I will absolutely find it for you.
Yeah, I think it's good to just brainstorm like live there, like whatever question is there. And I think you're open to answer anything to anyone, right? So that's amazing.
Yeah, someone came on a few weeks ago and they had a question about recruiting, and another person had a question about an employee that wasn't up to par, right? And so they, it was live Q&A. So we save a little bit of time towards the end for live Q&A. I did want to mention one other thing. I don't know when this is going to air, but we do have an event in May. On May 14th, it starts at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Okay.
It's a virtual event. We're bringing some guest speakers, as well as me and Dana will be there. We're going to be talking about financials, tax planning and strategy, wealth management. We have Tim from Elite Coal is going to be on there talking about outbound.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
Denise Swalford's going to be talking about inbound and how to get your inbound better. We also have a financial person who's going to be talking about budget, risk analysis. So it's and many more. We got a very fun event virtually, and it's $99. Right? It's $99 right now. It's buy one get one. That promotion ends tomorrow. So again, I don't know when this is going to air.
This is going to air on Wednesday.
Perfect. So anyone that's listening, if they want to reach out, we will give them the buy one get one promotion after they hear this. So please reach out, even though it expires tomorrow. We'll absolutely continue that promotion.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll probably be there. And so we'll have that link below so that you could, book a call with them to expand your mind and your business and follow in their footsteps, because it is available to you. If you also want to set up a call with Elite Call management, we are going to have a link below for that as well. So you could chat with them and see what, outbounding and saving all those dead leads could do for your company. And I appreciate you guys coming on and being so open and helpful for everybody listening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chuck and Dana. And thank you to all the listeners. We will see you on the next one. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.